What is going on, everybody? Chapel here with his year-end top 10 albums of 2024. I know some of y'all can't wait to hear this, and some of y'all are going to hate what I like. Some of y'all are going to love what I like. But I have a lot to talk about and a little time to do it in. So, I still have Lady Chapel across from me. I like to keep this like a conversation with somebody, but there won't be a whole lot of conversating as Lady Chapel is under the weather at the moment, and her voice is very, very low. She's been coughing a lot and lost her voice a little bit. So we're going to try to keep talking to a minimum, but she's going to pull through. She's going to pull through. So she'll be here for 2025. I promise. So all right. Well, let's go ahead and start this off. Like I said, I actually listened to quite a bit of music, new albums for 2024. I mean, I'm no Kevin Lewis or anything, but that's basically Kevin Lewis this year as best as I could, and still couldn't match what he does. Nerd. So let's start off with a nice little shot to start things off with. This is how we normally do this. So Lady Chapel and I will be taking a shot together. We have our Game of Thrones shot glasses here. I drink and I know things. So, cheers.
Cheers.
All right. Now let's get started. Here we go. Number 10 on the list. Nashville's own Omenbringer. What a fun band this is. I really, really, really enjoyed this band. I actually found them on, I think it was TikTok. I don't think I sent it to you.
Yeah. And
it was before the album come out. And the album is Thick Darkness. Now that's 2 C's. Thick. So, Thick Darkness. I mean, it's like I enjoyed this band a lot. They were a lot of fun. I mean, a lot of sexual innuendo. A little dash of some occultism, stuff like that. But the band themselves, I mean, it's something that one of your singles is, BTGG. Was it
BTGGF?
BTGGF. I almost had it. Oh, the abbreviations. I just like saying it. Big Titty Goth Girlfriend. And the video was fun as hell too. And I quite enjoyed all the good tongue-in-cheek humor and ode to, those type of people worldwide. But also they had a lot of, I like the like a classic metal sound and, good theatrics and stuff like that. And I like seeing that from a good underground band. And I had to throw them in my top 10 just by randomly coming through, like scrolling through TikTok. And there they were. And I played it for Lady Chapel. I was like, look at this. This is crazy. I hadn't seen a band like this in a while. And so seeing that them come up, kudos to a really good album that I listened to a lot. We listened to a lot and had a lot of fun listening to. So another one, number 9, talk about another good underground band here with a lot of cool theatrics. Castle Rat with Into the Realm was another banger for me. I love the theatrics of the band, but I love the songs. God Almighty, her vocal, like a song like Dagger Dragger, really, that's them. Like that's the song. It's like if I wanted to play a Castle Rat song, that's what I'm playing you first. is that song, you know. Then we'll listen to the album. And then, you know, they have their whole own lore or whatever that goes on with the band. You know what I mean? And if you watch the videos, you know, you kind of get a little story element there with everything. But I hate that we didn't get to see them this year. Hopefully we'll get to see them in 2025. I really, really would like to see this band early before they either disappear or become like the next level of what they're doing. You know what I mean? So hopefully next level. Number 8 spot goes to another band that I absolutely love to watch grow. This is another band from Tennessee. This is Summoner Circle with their new album Colt. Now, I've said this before. They've pretty much been making my top 10 since they've been putting out records. So I've always said that I've enjoyed seeing their progression as a band, and this album really is a huge Colt. I don't know how you say it. This is the peak of like how they can, you know, to be at this level. They've got to go to the next fucking level now. Like they're at the peak now. They've got to be. The vocals on this have really surprised me in a good way. I loved the way they handled the clean vocals, which they never really have clean vocals in their stuff. So how they handled it with you know, Blonde and the new keyboardist doing the you know, some of the clean vocals and stuff was really one of my favorite things about it. I was like, that's next level shit. And you know, they keep surprising me with each album. So they've got their next album, I think, is really going to be an ascension, so to speak. They're ready for the next level of stuff. They really are, and I hope nothing but the best for that band. Good friend Leo Dyer. This is some of his last recorded guitar work with this band before exiting the band. And shout out to Sun Mantra. Can't wait for that in 2025. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But the new Summoner Circle is just, it's beautiful from start to finish, and I can't go on and on about it more, but just they keep surprising me how good. I love the musicianship of this band, and I can't wait for the next level. I'm excited about where we're going next with this. So anyways, enough of that. Let's go from one side of the spectrum, you know, Summoner Circle, to way on the other side of the spectrum with the Lost Dog Street Band at number 7. We Survived.
We are on opposite ends of the spectrum for sure.
Oh, what opposite ends, but God, do I love the new Lost Dog Street Band album. I cannot go on and on about how much I love this album. It's probably my most country album of the year. And I mean, you know, but it's country, it's folk, you know what I mean? And when I say country, I'm not talking Tim McGraw country. This is not what I'm talking about, folks. I'm talking of the earth type of country. And that's what somebody like Benjamin Todd is. And we'll get to Benjamin Todd's solo album a little later. But this album, I mean, these are some of the best songs, and I've always been a little opposite because I've always liked Benjamin's solo stuff a little better than Lost Dog. I like Lost Dog. Lost Dog is fun and you know, full of great musicianship, but I've always really liked that one-on-one feeling that Benjamin Todd had as just a single folk singer with just a guitar, and it's been a little opposite this year. So this year now, this Lost Dog Street Band album has really been one of my top favorite albums of the year. if I want to sing something, man, this album is a good sing along album for me. And the Hubberville Store, I probably tortured Lady Chapel so much with that song.
No,
I absolutely,
it's fabulous. It's a great song.
And then we had the Concert Chronicles with the Lost Dog Street Band, which was just amazing. Another great experience. Big fan of Benjamin and Company, and I'm so glad they decided to put out a new record. It was totally worth it, and totally worth that number 7 spot. Oh, now we're jumping back to the other side of the spectrum, which is on the darker side. Number 6, Zeal and Ardor, Grief. I'm guessing it's Grief. Grief. Maybe it's German. I don't know. I'm a country boy from North Carolina. I'm not, I'm not up to date with all the languages. Some words I do pick up, but I should have probably looked up what this word meant, or if it's just, a play on the word grief. But I didn't. But Zeal and Ardor, another band that I've loved watching grow and have totally enjoyed their evolution, so to speak. They really, the music on this album has, at times, if you're the normal Zeal and Ardor fan, you either are kind of like, maybe you're a little bit off by it because it does lull at times. But man, as an album as a whole, I've really come to enjoy it. A little less talking about some of their early stuff. They like to mix the devil and a lot of stuff. You know how these bands are. And a lot less of that, and a lot less relying on musical talent, I think, and just writing good hooks and melodies and rhythms, and bringing back some of that element with God, I'll never hear the end of this from Kevin, but the synth stuff. I like the kind of synth stuff that they do. Like, they used to do that earlier on in some of the early stuff, and I liked a little bit of the synth that they did. They had that little synth break, and then back into the Zeal and Ardor, and just the placement of the vocals. I love how he writes vocals a lot, and so definitely a great listen. But if you're expecting just the old chain gang blues style Zeal and Ardor talking about the devil, you're not going to get this with this album. But you are going to get a very dark and prolific album instead. But and I don't know, every time I listen to it, it definitely takes me to a place. It's definitely a good solid listen. So and not my favorite in their catalog. Their self-titled Before is probably one of my favorite out of their whole catalog. But I love the early stuff. I love Zeal and Ardor. But then this one shows next level stuff, but it is just showing that they're able to experiment and do. They're one of those bands that experimentation is not a bad thing, because they were already a very experimental band. So I'm very excited for the next chapter of that band as well, and I'm always excited to hear a Zeal and Ardor record. But now is the time we're going to take another stop. I'm going to simmer down, and then I'm going to talk about a lot of my what's the word? Honorable mentions. That's right. Thank you, Whispering Lady Chapel. So before we go to the next part of this that we always do, time to have another shot. So it's a little part of video magic as I say alakazam. Oh, and it magically filled up. You didn't hear Lady Chapel have her coughing fit or nothing, so that's great.
Magic.
So glad that happened during that time. Cheers, everyone. All right, now is the part of the video where I will talk about all my honorable mentions. I'm going to try to go through it pretty fast because I had a lot this year. So basically, I'm going to say the name of the band and the album. And even if I don't stop and say something, doesn't mean it's not great. I enjoyed every band that I've put their name down on here. I've quite enjoyed their album this year. So that's all I got to say. So if your name is on here, I loved you this year. You did great. Just, certain albums I listened to more. I just noticed I was vibing to more, and that's just kind of how it goes. So, but there was some on here. Oh, the first one almost made it to my top 10. It probably should have. And it's the first one, and I'm going to talk about it because of how beautiful this record is. And you should all go out and listen to it. The first one on the list is Crown Shift. Crown Shift, self-titled. If Soilwork and Devin Townsend and Children of Bodom got together and had a project, this would be it. And it's the best of all three of those that I've heard in a long time. That's all I got to say. So we'll get to Devin Townsend later. But the Crown Shift, what a beautiful record from start to finish. I love everything about it. They got a lot of those kicky, like, verses like Soilwork does, kind of punch in your face. But then sometimes, like I said, they sound like a Children of Bodom type verse. Not so much choruses and stuff, but then like all of a sudden they'll sound like Devin Townsend. Like I literally will be like having my stuff on shuffle. Crown Shift song will come on, and I'm like, man, that's not Devin Townsend. That's Crown Shift. And then it's just so weird. What a great mix of sounds in this band, and all sounds that I enjoy. So if you haven't listened to that, please listen to that. The next album, The Killer's Confession. Victim number 1. Shout out to my boy JP. We love you. We saw A Killer's Confession earlier this year. And you won't see that concert chronicle till next year, but be ready for it. What a good one. They have J-Man, one of the original vocalists for Mushroom Head, ironically, who Waylon replaced Waylon in A Killer's Confession. And to see them together in a show doing Mushroom Head songs was really surreal and pretty awesome.
It was great.
It was great. The show from start to finish was great. The guys' set was great up until the Mushroom Head set. And then the Mushroom Head set hit, and that would kill just as great, I enjoyed it. All the times I've seen A Killer's Confession since the beginning of A Killer's Confession, this is by far my favorite. And I have 3 of them on this will be the 3rd one for the Concert Chronicles. So can't wait for you guys to see that one. That one is an epic one. But this is by far their heaviest album. Aaron Nordstrom from Gemini Syndrome is on the album with them. Great vocal duet with him and Waylon. I'm very happy for them for this record. It's about part of me's like, it's about time. This is what you needed. This is the album you needed right here, and I loved it. Came home with a T-shirt and everything because I support my friends. Right. But ironically, Mushroom Head also had a really badass album out this year with Call the Devil. I've not really cared for a Mushroom Head album in a really long time. And this, I was like, wow, they really stepped up their game. They didn't sound generic. They sounded like Mushroom Head without sounding like Mushroom Head. It's so weird. As a Mushroom Head fan, it's like I hear the Mushroom Head elements, but it's just another level of Mushroom Head. I mean, there's no original, hardly, except for Skinny, I think. I think Skinny's the only original member. I could be wrong.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure I'm right. But it's still, I enjoyed the listen, and I haven't thoroughly enjoyed a Mushroom Head album in a very long time. And it didn't sound cliche. It sounded pretty stellar. So good for them. Then I have Gate Creeper. Oh man, Dark Superstition. This is the best rhythmic, like death metal band that's come along in a while. I'm gonna move on from that because that's all you need. I mean, groovy. What a groovy death metal band. Witchorious. What can I say? That almost made my top 10. What a great Doom record. I like the mix of male female vocals, and they don't overdo it. It's not like a Lacuna Coil type thing. It's like there's bits and pieces of the female vocals here and there. You know what I mean? And neither one is it fits. It just fits. So if you're into Doom, like old school kind of 70s hard rock, but just a little tinge heavier, they're for you. They're for you. All right, this has to be talked about. I see it right here. Opeth. The Lost Will and Testament. If I had heard this album earlier in the year, it probably would have made my top 10. I know that would make Bree very happy, but, I don't care what makes Bree happy. Just kidding, I love you. But anyways, but speaking of someone who makes me happy, her boyfriend Matthew, me and him had very long discussions about Opeth. I cannot wait for them to see this. Honestly, the best Opeth, and I know Matthew doesn't feel my sentiments on this. I think he's an Opeth fan through and through. He understands some stuff, but I think he genuinely loves those albums that I think are a waste of time. But I've loved Opeth forever, and I've always loved their, chill kind of stuff over some of the more death metal stuff. But I love the death metal stuff too. But then they just became the band King Crimson, but they took acid and they're like, oh, we got a little bit of metal in here. Let's be a crazy progressive band. Heritage just...
We're not talking about Heritage.
I know.
We're talking about Last Will and Testament.
Please. Yeah, thank you for bringing me back. Honestly, this album should have came out after Watershed. That's really what should have happened. Any of those albums after Watershed up until now, I don't really care about. Some of them, I like part of them. There's bits and pieces of it. But as an album, I can't listen to them. I can pick apart all those albums. But this album is great from start to finish. And part of me hates that I loved it so much. I was so mad because I wanted to argue with people who still took up for Opeth. And now I'm like, great. And it's not just because they brought growls back. They brought that whole feeling back. We're still leaving the progginess in there. There's nothing wrong with the progginess. It's like, don't be like a 70s acid, whatever. Be Opeth, and this is Opeth. They could have left this out. Sorceress was the closest I liked to. I was like, there's no growls in Sorceress. But Sorceress was not a bad record. It wasn't a stellar record by no means, but it was a decent, record for them. But this is beyond stellar. This is wonderful. I love it from start to finish. So I'm just going to go on. I've said it. I love the new Opeth record. Job for a Cowboy, Moonflower. I loved it. It's great. I don't know what else to say. This is for a band that came out during the heyday of deathcore and stuff. I really didn't enjoy the early stuff as much. I wasn't into scenes, like a whole scene kid thing. But I learned to love them after a few albums. And this album was their first in like 10 years. And I want to give a shout out to my boy, Dallas Boyd, who obviously is a big fan. He already had the new album on vinyl when I was talking to him about it. And now it's, this is still great. I'm glad that they put something else out. It's been way too long. And it's groovy, and their bass player really, he always, It might be a new bass player. I didn't even look at the credits. I didn't look at it. I just listened to it. And I was like, oh, this is great. And, but anyways, going to move on to what I think is one of the best rock albums of the year is The Warning, Keep Me Fed. South American girls know how to make a hard rock record that doesn't sound cliche. What a great rock record. It's not your American rock. These girls, you know, they come to rock and they do it. That's what a killer trio. I don't, like I said, I'm trying not to talk too much about some of these. Nails. every bridge burning. It's been almost 10 years since Nails. And it's been a while. It's been a few years, at least 6 or 7. I can't remember since the last Nails record. But this one, it's a Nails record. And it's what you want from a Nails record. You just want to go and break something and listen to Nails. Let's see here. Trying to read my own handwriting. Oh, man. Yes, ma'am. How many dogs and how many people? What a great album. I have it on vinyl and signed. It's almost made my top 10 as well. Just too late in the year. I couldn't, against some of these other ones, I just couldn't do it. But if you want to hear a great folk music from start to finish, Yes Ma'am is your band. This right here is for Lady Chapel. Dark Tranquillity. End Time Signals.
Great fucking album.
So she definitely enjoyed it. It's great. It was a great album. I liked the album before a little better, but this one is still pretty solid, Dark Tranquillity. I mean, it's what I expected, you know, from a Dark Tranquillity. I've been a fan for 20-some years, so it was great. But I know Lady Chapel quite enjoyed it. Swallow the Sun, Shining. What a weird Swallow the Sun record. But it still has some great elements of Swallow the Sun. But, man, there were some very songs that sounded like A Perfect Circle from A Perfect Circle's last record, which was very strange to me. Crowbot, Obsidian. I really wish we'd have gave this album had a listen from earlier in the year, because it would probably make my top 10 as well, because Crowbot has definitely gotten better and did not disappoint with this one. Two Wolves, Not Worth It. God, that almost made it. Great blend of just that gothic metal sound with death metal vocal. I mean, if you're a fan of, that whole gothic metal scene, I won't drop some because some might be in here coming up. But that Two Wolves was very, I loved it. I loved the darkness of that record. The Obsess, Gilded Sorrow with, oh man, just my boy Wino, Scott Wino Weinrich, with his original metal band from the 80s to now. Great. Another, I mean, it's what you expect from The Obsessed. It was a solid record, and I love hearing Wino sing. This one is for Kevin. The Eternal, Skinwalker.
I love this album.
It was great. You liked it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, because even Kevin sent it to me too.
Oh yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. It was a solid record. I enjoyed it from start to finish. I know we played a lot of video games and listened to it while we played video games there for a while. Bewitcher, Spell Check. I didn't think it was any better or worse than the last record. I loved the last record. I thought it was great, but it didn't. It seemed like that part 2 is what it kind of felt like. You know what I mean? So I liked it, but it's Bewitcher, but there's nothing new. There's nothing taken away. So it was sort of just a solid line. I mean, it's not bad by any means. It's Bewitcher. It's pretty cool, but it just wasn't any better or worse for me. Vicious Blade, Relentless Force, we met these people in Savannah, Georgia, at the Grayface Museum of Oddities. Is it Museum of Oddities or Oddities Museum? So, yeah. Went to Grayface Records back 10 years ago on our honeymoon, and we returned again, but then we also went to the Oddities Museum that they also run, which was really cool. And then met Vicious Blade there doing the same tour, and actually got to take the picture of them. That's probably on their Facebook. I don't know. I haven't even looked. But what a cool band. They were super cool people, and I followed them right there in front of them, and then we listened to them riding around Savannah. So that album was great. That the vocalist, she really has like that Skeleton Witch feel to her vocals sometimes. So I really dig that a lot. And what a killer record. Blotted Eye was another one. Agony's Bespoken. That was just another band Kevin had sent me, and I was like, man, this is a solid band. This is pretty cool. I like the death metal style vocals. It's kind of like Two Wolves, but heavier. Is the way I look at it. It's just the next level heavy for them. They didn't sound like, I'm just saying they were just like a dark band like that, but they were just a bit on the heavier side. Sidewinder, Talons. God, I played that for you a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And great doomy stoner kind of heavy metal with female vocals, and loved it, absolutely loved it. Wished I could listen to it some more. Oh man, I'm hitting a one. Devin Townsend's Power Nerd. I half liked this record and half didn't like this record. Wasn't quite what I wanted from Devin Townsend. If you love Devin Townsend, just without any, I'm always going to want another Strappy Young Lad, but it's not going to happen. He's not in that place. But I would rather have had like the last good Devin Townsend project album than this. Like there's some of that there, but then there's just it just lulls too much. And I don't like it when half the album is just kind of like listening to a lullaby. But I liked some of half the other songs are great. I enjoyed them. Corporal Kalani. I could try to Ronka Rampu. Was a good listen because I love Corporal Kalani. Been listening to those guys for a very long time. Probably 15 years, if not more, 16 years, a long time. I can't wait to see them next year in 2025 because they're coming. They're coming to Greensboro, and I can't wait to see that. Lost My Place. Wind Rider Revival. That's another good band. Our friend Leo Dyer got to sub in, play drums for a couple of shows for them, which is cool. And another good solid doom record. Love those guys a lot. And, last but not least, Jerry Cantrell, I Want Blood. Great. I've always loved Jerry's solo records. It's, you're not going to get Alice in Chains, but Jerry's good guitar playing, and his, he writes very good vocal hooks as well. So it was a pretty good record as well, but not enough to get on my top 10. But we're about to stop here and take one more shot before we finish off the top 10. So let's do a little magic. Alakazam. Let's see. I drink and I know things. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
All right. Now that we're through all of that, let's get into our number 5, which is Kitty with Fire. Now, I have been a fan of Kitty's for a very long time, since 99. I'm pretty sure 99 was first time I seen him at Ozfest 2000. Got to meet Morgan, the drummer. Was a pretty surreal moment. But one time I met them at Ziggy's in Winston-Salem, and I was 21 and they were 20, I'm pretty sure. And maybe not, some of them were 19, but 19 and 20. And I bought them a bottle of Jaeger as a present. And Morgan, the lead singer, had me sign the bottle. which was pretty fucking cool. So I signed it to Kitty from Corey, and she took it, and word has it, I had heard word that it was still on their tour bus later that year. But after that, I have no idea. But what a great album, by the way. For the progression from where they kind of went after their early years, their mid kind of years and whatnot, were just sort of okay for me. But this album really stepped up a lot. The songwriting definitely stepped up a lot. Morgan's vocals definitely stepped up a lot. Everything about them, it was where they need to be now, and it sounded so good. I know this was probably Lady Chapel's favorite album of the year.
Absolutely. I loved it.
And you know her, girl power,
That's right.
But absolutely was surprised by this album, and definitely rekindled my love for them again all these years later. Number 4 is Finland's Wolfheart with Draconian Darkness. Wolfheart has made Concert Chronicles twice themselves, and have been great performances each time. I absolutely love to see this band live, and I love their albums, and this album is no exception. It is top notch. I was very happy when this album came out. I played it quite a bit. It's just the perfect meld of that type of metal that makes you, without being kind of Viking metal, it gives you that I want to go to battle kind of feeling without giving the cliche going to battle feeling, if that makes sense. But they definitely, I love their style of the harsh vocals, and when they do clean vocals, it's very much a very folk style of that part of the world, type of folk music. In that vocal style, sometimes it's very hits in that sort of way. But God, I love Wolfheart. And the guitars, good God, the guitar playing is just amazing. Now we're getting up to the upper echelon. And the next 2 albums, ironically, are not metal. Even though I've had a little bit of not metal in here, but the next 2 are definitely not. Number 3 is one of my favorite artists in the last 5 years or so. Amigo the Devil with Yours Until the World Is Over. Man, in comparison to his last album, I don't think I liked it as good, but it still has those, like, Amigo, just something about what he does really, really works with me, and I love his art, basically. I love everything about him. There's another Concert Chronicle. Again, he's been on one. We got a new one coming.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that. That's very, very, very soon. But this album, great. That Once Upon a Time in a Texaco Part 1 it was probably one of my most played songs of the year, according to Spotify. And I did. I absolutely love that song. That, Cannibal Within. There's so many good songs on this album.
Stray Dog gets stuck in my
Stray
head
Dog
real
is
bad.
another one, yeah. That's another one that gets stuck in your head really quick. But yeah, absolutely love this album. Definitely give that a listen. My number 2, the other woman who has my heart, Libby from the Bridge City Sinners in the Age of Doubt. Wow, I listened the hell out of this album too, according to Spotify, and it's not lying. I did. I listened to this a lot. And we saw them too, another upcoming Concert Chronicle for 2025, which was another great night. It just doesn't disappoint. Still, they definitely still going that next level without seeming too mainstream. Still, they still very much have that. Like when we seen them, it was a mixture at that show of like gutter punks and old people who like folk music. It was very strange, and some metalheads dashed in here and there. That was a very mixed up show, but loved it. Still loved the atmosphere. Still a good mix. But this album, from start to finish, oh man, so many singable songs. Everything from Crazy to Midnight Device. There's a lot of good songs on this album. And I've not been disappointed. I think they definitely have reached a great level for the band right now, and I'm enjoying where they are, and I'm enjoying what they're putting out. There's nothing I've heard yet that makes me go,
Yeah.
But now it's just reached a level where I love them even more, and seeing them live, you definitely is another level for me with them, and you just can't beat it. They kill live. What an energy. But this album is definitely a must, and my number 2 almost made my number 1.
So close.
But my number 1 this year is one of my all-time favorite bands. Oh, what can I say about the mighty High on Fire? With Cometh the Storm. Oh man, I listened to this album so much earlier in the year that I made myself stop. I had to stop, because if I didn't stop, then I was going to burn myself out on the album. I loved it that much. It's Matt Pike is just one of my favorite artists. I love him as a guitar player, as a songwriter. He's also known for the band Sleep, which is a complete polar opposite of High on Fire. High on Fire is more like, we're stoners, but we do meth every once in a while. That's kind of the speed of the band, It's like, I always say he sounds like Lemmy if Lemmy ate glass. Like, that's his vocal style. But it just, even the song, the title track, Cometh the Storm, I'm trying to think what the name of that one song is. It's like Transmagittus. I can't remember what it was. That song was just the shit. I mean, as soon as it comes on, it just hits you, and you're like, man, I just want to break something. But absolutely one of my all-time favorite bands, definitely my favorite album of the year. Like I said, I had to stop. I had to put it down. I was like, stop listening to this album. You're going to hate it by the end of the year. Because I don't know. I love High on Fire, and that one was a hard one to beat for me this year. But I think I had a pretty good amalgamation of bands and albums this year. So
yeah, it was a very eclectic list.
Right. So, but Happy New Year, everybody, from the Chapels here and everybody else in Ann the Polar. I'm going to end this like I end most of the Concert Chronicles. Go out there. Find you some good music.